Hey, it's Rob from Radio Free Geek. I just wanted to show off something I got from my comic book store last night. Like everybody else, I've collected trading cards in the past, especially Star Wars, Star Trek, basically anything I could buy at my local comic book shop. And Marvel has kind of come full circle with their reclaiming of the Star Wars comic book titles. If you're familiar with comic book history, Marvel used to do classic Star Wars comic books in the 70s when the first movie came out and was very, very successful, and they were grabbing up IPs all over the place. And they've kind of come back around full. Hey, it's Rob from Radio Free Geek. Just want to show you about something new I found from my comic book store last night. As many of you know, Marvel used to do classic comic books for Star Wars in the 70s when the first movie kind of took off and was successful. Those were subsequently taken over by Dark Horse Comics in the 80s and 90s and early 2000s. And they actually remastered Marvel's old comic books and re-released them in these tiny kind of omnibus editions that collected a whole volume into one kind of paperback size. And Marvel's come full circle and reclaimed that as well as the Star Wars IP. And they've been releasing. Topps has been releasing massive trading card collections that have like autographs on the cards and everything that have really tried to keep up with the digital space. They've got the digital trading card games, and the latest iteration of that is these Star Wars micro comics that kind of compile classic runs of the old Marvel Star Wars comics into these tiny collectible, oversized trading card packs, basically. And what you get in there, you actually get a lot of random stuff, but what you get is a very tiny edition of one of the remastered classic Star Wars comics. And remastering isn't redoing the artwork, really it's redoing the colors, making them a little more, giving them vibrancy and a little more detail. And the old classic Star Wars comics are basically retelling the events of Episode 4. In this issue, it's where Han Solo and Luke and Obi-Wan rescue Leia from the Death Star and get her out of there, as well as doing a little more exposition on what the hell Vader is doing before he runs into Obi-Wan Kenobi. But basically what this is a lot of people have never actually read these issues. And what this does is it gives them, it updates the ads, of course, lets you know that there's an Empire Strikes Back version of it coming up. Inevitably, there will be a Return of the Jedi one, and who knows, maybe prequels if you're into that. But it comes with, but it's a little tiny replica of the classic Star Wars comic, including the branding, including the pricing back in the good old days when comic books were, you could buy, a whole bag full for $1, as well as giving you the issue. It also gives you a comic book card that's a panel from one of the issues, not necessarily that issue, but every one of these, I think every 6 of these comes together to create another comic book cover. So it creates probably a poster size version when you get 6 pieces. As well as that, they could have stopped right there and that would have been a pretty collectible item. But what they also did is they give you these classic red and blue 3D glasses, and they also give you a 3D mini poster of the issue that you're reading right now. So if you put this on, of course, it's got the red, green, and blue. If you put this on, of course, it would give you the classic 3D layering. I'm sure when you were a kid, like I did, I read the comics that were like the full issue was like this. So this is kind of a nice classic bit of nostalgia for someone who grew up reading 3D comic books, who grew up reading Star Wars comic books. I miss Marvel's run. But I've read Dark Horse's run. So this is new to me, but it's also nostalgia because I remember reading Dark Horse's remastered version of this, which I guess is nostalgia once removed. And then the mini poster gives you a rundown of all the different covers, all the different cards that you need. It doesn't tell you which cards you need to complete what cover, but it also shows you the 3D posters. And ostensibly, the 6 covers that these would make would be the 6 covers that you have here. They announced in the back of this issue they're doing an Empire Strikes Back one. What's really interesting about this is it's not Topps like the trading cards. Lucasfilm, Marvel, and Disney, of course, you kind of expect that because they all work together, being owned by Disney. What's interesting is this is being put out by IDW, who is another comic book publisher, and not Topps or Marvel or previous partners that they've worked with in the past. So it makes you wonder what IDW is going to be doing and if they're replacing Topps or kind of what's down the pipe for Star Wars collectibles. But this is interesting. It's a neat way to shake up your trading card game if you're kind of stuck in a rut about what to collect. It's kind of getting crazy with the amount of stuff you can get. But this is a neat way to shake it up if you're not into trading cards or you're just in a rut about what to collect. This is a new kind of exciting addition to it, and it's going to be interesting to see what Marvel and IDW do going forward. So, does this look like something you would buy? What would you like to see IDW or Marvel create? Leave a comment below, subscribe, like, tell your friends. We could always use more subscriptions. And if we get enough likes and comments about this, maybe we'll buy a couple of these and do giveaways without opening them before. Just let us know what you think in the comments below, and we'll see you in the next video. Thanks.